Hello everyone, so we're going to continue with part 2 of the discussion, does the Quran teach that Jesus is God or divine? Now, if you are just tuning into this video, I'll have a link in the description section to bring you back to part 1. I encourage you to watch both parts because there's a lot of great information that I'm going to be presenting here to all of you. Now, let's continue with two more commentaries, and I'm going to read them and we'll discuss them. Now, so far, we've looked at Abdullah Yusuf Ali's translation to see how he words the passage in question, which is chapter 4, verse 171. We've looked at the Noble Quran's literal translation and a couple other literal translations and see how they translate it and how they commentate on it. And we have found a theme that the commentary by these scholars is not necessarily theological in nature, but rather it is discussing what the Arabic actually says, the rules in the Arabic language with regards to this verse. And we've discovered that the Arabic does not connotate that Jesus is divine or God, but rather that he is a created thing by God himself. And so we're going to look at some other examples. Now, I want to look at this translation. Now, this is the Holy Quran translated by Maulana Muhammad Ali. Now, I know some of my Muslim viewers are going to go, whoa, what are you doing? That's an Ahmadid translation, which is a sect in Islam, and I understand that their theology is not worth mainstream orthodoxy, but I am a fan of having multiple translations. And what's interesting is that this Maulana Muhammad Ali, regardless if he differs in Islamic theology, what I find it very interesting is that what his commentary is on this verse. Because, I mean, I've represented like the orthodoxy, now I'd like to get the opinion of someone who isn't an orthodox Muslim. Now, what's interesting is that he quotes in his commentary with regards to the word kalima, he says, or word, or kun. He says that in his opinion it could regard prophecy, because God told Mary, "You're going to give birth to a son," and then it actually happened. But what's interesting is he quotes two Orientalists. One is Sales and Rodwell's, and based on their English translations and their commentaries, Orientalists, he says they both agreed that based on the language, that rule I talked about in my first video, these Orientalists agree with this because they could understand classical Arabic. So for those of you out there who think that I'm just quoting Muslim scholars, here we have a Maulana who is quoting two Orientalists named Sales and Rodwell's who actually agreed with the concept based on the Arabic that the word is be, and that the term rule connotates something that is created. And what is his commentary on the word rule? It says rule both means a mercy of Allah. This is being a proper significance of the word in the passage under discussion. Rule also signifies inspiration or divine revelation. If this significance is adopted, it would be an explanation of what is said in the foregoing words, i.e. his prophecy which he communicated to Mary. The passage would thus mean that the advent of Jesus was in accordance with a prophecy and an inspiration from the divine being. Even if we take spirit to be the meaning of the word ruh, it does in no way carry Jesus a step beyond the limits of mortality. For of Adam also it had been said, I breathe my spirit into him. That's chapter 15, verse 29 of the Quran. In fact, according to the Holy Quran, the Spirit of God is breathed into every man. Then he made him complete and breathed into him of his spirit and gave you ears and eyes and hearts. Chapter 32, verse 9. Further, we have a saying referred to by another scholar under Ru'aya al-Nasa bi Ruhihai, where the correct reading is ruh and not ruhu, meaning he, God, has quickened all men with his spirit. And ru'u minhu, which could only mean a spirit from him, is further evidence that even in this sense, the word is not exclusively applicable to Jesus. For he is not the word of God or the spirit from him, but only a word or a spirit. So here we have references to other people having a spirit from God, essentially, being put onto them, whether it was Jesus or Adam or every living being. So for those of you who think just because the Quran says that Jesus is a spirit or a soul or a mercy from him, and that means that Jesus is divine, that means that, according to your logic, not only is Jesus divine, Adam is divine, and heck, we're all divine. But of course we know Islam doesn't teach this based on Arabic, as I've already mentioned, and so for people who believe this, they're going on their own false assertions without actually looking at the language and the rules of Arabic. Now I'm going to end with one more translation, and it's this really huge one here. It's Muhammad Assad, The Message of the Quran by Muhammad Assad. And we're going to look at his commentary. We're going to end the video with his commentary. And let's see here. It says in chapter 4, verse 171, his commentary is the following. It says, his word which he bestowed, which he conveyed unto Mary, and a soul from him. Now that is how Muhammad Assad translates this verse. His word which he conveyed unto Mary, and a soul from him. Again, because this Arabic word can actually mean these multiple meanings. According to Tabari's tafsir, the word kalima was the announcement, rasala, which God bade the angels to convey to Mary in God's glad tidings to her, a reference to chapter 3, verse 45, which justifies the rendering of kalamiyatuhu as the fulfillment of his promise. See also chapter 3, note 28. As regards to the expression a soul from him, or created by him, which the Arabic can be rendered, it is to be noted that among the various meanings which the word ruh bears in the Quran, inspiration, like in chapter 2, verse 87, and verse 253, it is also used in its primary significance of breath of life, soul, or spirit. Thus, for instance, in chapter 32, verse 9, where the ever-recurring evolution of the human embryo is spoken of, and then he forms him, meaning man, and breathes into him of his spirit, that is, he endows him with the conscious soul, which represents God's supreme gift to man, and is therefore described as the breath of his spirit. In the verse under discussion, which stresses the purely human nature of Jesus and refutes the belief in his divinity, the Quran points out that Jesus, like all other human beings, was a soul created by him. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. He's a soul created by God. He's not God, he's not divine, because God cannot create another uncreated. It makes no sense, and I know that even if you are a Jew or a Christian subscriber of mine, or even a rational atheist, for crying out loud, who actually understands the concept of looking at a language and what the language is really implying based on the rules of its grammar, like I've already described in this video and in part 1, you would know that if someone were to come along and say that this verse is implying that Jesus is God, you would know that this would be a ridiculous statement. And I think anyone who understands what I've been discussing would agree with this. The people who say that Jesus is God based on chapter 4, verse 171 is reading into the text with their own ambitions and not actually looking what scholars and people who are people who deal with language have concluded. And again, I have quoted not only Muslim scholars but Orientalists as well who understand this. Now, some people make the argument, well, Jesus was given the powers to create life, like making the birds out of clay. So therefore he's creating life, and therefore he has attributes like God. He's creating life, he's bringing people back from the dead. The thing is that in Islam the term is used that Jesus did these things by the permission of God. Okay? By the permission of God. And Jesus is not the only one who essentially brought people back from the dead. Elijah, Elisha did these things as well, and so therefore I guess we should call them God as well. These miracles were God allowing these people to do it, and that is a consensus in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. That prophets are given by permission of God to do what they do as miracles. It does not make them God or divine. So thank you everyone for watching. Again, please watch part 1. If you're just tuning in, I'll post the description section for the link. Thank you everyone for watching. Peace be with you all.